to order today. Hey, everybody. Hey, don't fast forward over this part. For real, I got to tell you something. Go to jmohr.com and click the Amazon.com banner and go to Amazon and buy stuff for yourself. That's really what I want for you out of life, is for you to buy things for you. It is helping the podcast a lot. And thank you. And tweet me the strange things that you've purchased with photos or it didn't happen.
Put your name on it. Just put your name on it. That's all I say. Be a man or a woman. Put your name on it.
Well, I'd like to hear about it, potheads.
How the fuck you gonna know how to be great if you don't study greatness? Look at the game change.
Donuts.
I want to work with you a lot.
Oh, yeah!
Jim Jefferies is our guest. Mohr Stories. Jim, well, don't worry about headphones.
Yeah, I don't need that.
We'll do it guerrilla warfare style, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming back. You, last time, were there, sitting there with that albatross known as Eddie Ift around your neck.
Yes, poor Eddie.
He's a good man.
He's all right.
He's a friend of the show, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So you used to be roommates with Eddie. Now I understand you got your own place.
I bought a place in Mount Olympus, yeah.
Mount Olympus is like where Persian people live.
Persians and Russians and stuff.
Yeah, I wouldn't think a guy like a blue-collar, salt-of-the-earth Australian would be up there.
I just wanted to live in a quiet place that had sidewalks, and it's the only place in the hills that has sidewalks. Everything else is windy and horrible. But it does. You can tell my house used to be owned by Armenians. It's just garish as fuck. You know, like I have a double door and columns and shit. I'm going to have to do a lot of work to de-Persian it.
I think that work won't get done.
No. No, I think there's something, and all of the Russians out there as well, I think everything's got like huge windows and you can see like a big chair inside when you walk around the neighborhood. I think it's because if you grow up in if you're Russian, you grow up in communism or something, and then you get out of it and you make a bit of money, it's like, look at my chair.
You know what?
Look at the chair I have.
King of the castle, king of the castle. But I also noticed Persian, and when I say Persian, I mean Iranians and fucking Persians. I don't want people going, well, what does he mean? We mean fucking Persians. There's no beating. That's the thing with Jim, is everything's way on the surface. You go out on stage, you can talk about Whitney Houston being a dead fucking crackhead, you could talk about pedophilia, and I love watching you do stand-up comedy. But the Persians, the big thing, we're going to go back to that, the Persians love giant cats.
Yeah.
Not like lions, I mean like ceramic. There's always some type of
ceramic animals in the front.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. My house has still got a bit of that hanging around. You've got a couple of giraffes. That would go well in a Persian house.
Well, my corporate name was Giraffe, and a lot of people, my grandfather used to collect giraffes.
Right.
Not the actual animal. That shit would have been amazing. Just
in
New Jersey.
The same amount of bones in their neck as the human spine.
But their vertebrae are like the size of an engine block of a car.
Sure.
The real king of the jungle. The giraffe's kick will disembowel a lion, but they never kick each other. They have a sense of fair play. You ever see them fight where they swing their heads at each other?
No, never.
Because they know if they kick each other.
As many giraffes as you might have think.
Yeah, I had you pegged as like a giraffe.
I've been on safari in Africa and seen them in the wild. That was pretty exciting.
They are like I'll say this, and I know I have a soft spot for giraffes. And don't fucking send me any giraffes. I'm good. But I've noticed that giraffes, and with me certainly, but they are always like the underrated, holy shit, you surprised me animal. Anytime you go to the zoo, you go for the monkeys. You think it's funny, you smoke a bowl in the parking lot, you get high, you have a couple pops, and then you're like, the monkeys. And then when you turn that corner and see the giraffes, you're always like, whoa.
Well, I like that monkeys have a certain level of etiquette as well, in the way that if I'm masturbating, and I wouldn't do it in front of you people right now, right?
Yeah.
I would duck into another room and masturbate. But if, let's say, your dog was sitting there, I'd masturbate in front of your dog. Right. It wouldn't be because the dog was there. It would be with pornography, but the dog would be incidentally in the room.
So the dog wouldn't be the reason?
The dog wouldn't be the reason, but I wouldn't masturbate in front of people. And monkeys, if you go to the zoo, there'll be a monkey that like 100 people are looking at masturbate, but it'll be hiding behind a tree so as the other monkeys doesn't see it.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So it doesn't just wank in front of the other monkeys. It goes, I'll find a little private wanking section. But if the public are watching, it's like, look at those stupid animals. I don't care if they see me masturbate.
So we're the voyeurs.
We're the dogs of the monkey world.
So when you're sitting at home jerking off and your dog's staring at you, that's the same thing. The monkey is our intellectual superior because they're jerking off and we're just sitting on the floor looking up at it going, hey, maybe he'll give me cheese later.
Yeah, exactly.
Are the headphones, is this level cool? Can someone grab a headphone and see if, all right.
I don't know.
You were in Australia last week, honey?
No, it's off? Is it off? Yeah, I just went to Australia.
What, you were only there for like 3 days?
I went and did the Atheist convention, and then I did like...
Swear to God.
Yeah, I did the Atheist convention. I'll tell you something weird about the Atheists. They fucking...
Don't believe in God.
They love rocking out long hair and beards.
Really?
They love the Jesus look for themselves, but they don't... You know, they don't believe in... Even the old guys look like God. Like, they have white beards. They have that Santa sort of look going on about them. And I went along and I did all my... I couldn't... Have you ever done a set where you just had to speak about one subject?
No.
It's tricky.
Yeah. World of Warcraft, like a BlizzCon, like a video game convention.
Right.
So, yeah. But the trick is to sort of trick them into making the circle wider.
Exactly.
But then you're talking about cricket at an atheist convention.
I talked about gay marriage a lot and how the Christians are trying to stop it, but it's really just gay marriage.
And then you go to the gays.
Then I go to the gays.
Right, you tricked them, sure.
But
Good
I couldn't remember all my religious material, so I went on the internet and YouTubed myself before the gig on my phone and sat there and tried to memorize all my religious, because I had to get 40 minutes together, you know. And I got it all together, and then I did a few of the gay jokes, and I did a joke that we did on April Foolishness together, which was, I like to be gay because I'm a man's man, men like me, I like men, we like each other, I hate women, women hate me, we hate each other. And I go, the only reason I couldn't be gay is because I couldn't fuck something I respect. Right? Now, it's a good joke.
Pro-gay.
Yeah, it's a pro-gay joke.
That's an actual, like, not even kidding. That's an absolute pro-gay joke.
It's fairly misogynistic, sure, but I did that joke at the Atheist convention, and a lot of them got pretty fucking angry about that, saying that was offensive. And then you go,
offensive to who?
To women, I guess. It does say that I don't respect women.
But you would think that the olive branch you extend to gays in the joke would cover your tracks for the misogyny towards women.
You'd think that, but people get...
That really is the bane of our existence. When you're on stage and you go, I really thought you guys would have reacted differently, and it's an atheist convention.
Well, see, this is the thing. I'm saying so many things that would be deemed offensive in other rooms that they've gone, well, that joke's offensive in this particular space right now. Yeah. But it was interesting. I thought there'd be more to the atheist convention. I was thinking it was going to be like Comic-Con.
Yeah.
I thought there'd be a hall I walked through and there'd be people with little stands and scientists pointing out how there can't be a God. No, it was just like a great big hall with seats, and they had speakers every day for 3 days.
What town in Australia?
Melbourne.
Now, how do you get picked? Like, you think that's like a Rogan, Stanhope. I guess you're like the next guy on the list, or you're the top. Obviously, you're the guy that got the gig, but how do they reach out and say,
my management,
how do they know you don't believe in God?
I have so many anti-religious material that I guess they just asked me. I don't know.
But
the thing is, the Melbourne Comedy Festival was on at the same time. There was plenty of comics they probably could have gotten for cheap who were just already
they
there.
Did the fucking fly
and they flew me out.
An 18-hour flight.
There was like 1,000 comics in town that week.
They could have gotten in a cab
exactly.
as opposed to flown over 2 oceans.
And Ben Elton was there as well, which was interesting.
He's great.
You know Ben Elton?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because
not personally, I just know his work.
Of him, yeah.
I like him.
You know, and so he's such a...
I got to get there.
Get to Australia?
Yeah, in England. To England. I got to get Brett Vincent.
Yeah, Brett Vincent will hook you up.
Every time we say Brett Vincent, I always picture like a guy with a pompadour and a skiffle band. It's such like when the Beatles came out, and then we hung out with Brett Vincent.
Yeah. Skiffle was the type of music that never really lasted long.
No.
Skiffle had about 4 good years. Before Skiffle.
Pretty good years.
Before rock and roll came in.
And it was so good that they outsourced it to fucking Berlin.
And then there was a guy with just a fucking stick with a bit of string on that used to do that.
In a wash tub.
Yeah, and he was out. He was out. Skiffle's over. And
as soon as somebody,
but I've mastered this.
It's like the guy with the wax paper over the comb. You never hear a kazoo anymore.
No, not as much as you would like.
So they ask you to do the atheist convention.
Yeah.
And you just say, yeah, obviously.
Yeah,
they
of
meet your
course.
price.
Yeah.
You fly over 2 oceans.
Yeah, it was 16 hours or something. Yeah.
And you are a guy, this is your commute,
Yeah.
essentially. You don't give a shit. Like, for me, it would be a month, 2 months of anxiety.
Yeah, but if you're in business or first, it's all right. You know, if you got the bed.
Yeah, but I mean, if I'm in first class flying to, like, New York, I'm going, oh, Jesus.
Yeah, but the secret is with these long trips is you leave at midnight, so you're going to be tired. And if you got the bed, and then you get the 8 hours in. And then you watch a couple of movies.
And then you're 10 hours from being there.
I watched
Then you're two flights.
Red Dog, the movie. It was pretty good. And I watched... what else?
Red Dog?
Red Dog. Red Dog was a very popular movie in Australia. Because when you're going to Australia, they have all the movie pages on your little home entertainment system. And then they go, Australiana. And I thought, I'll catch up on some Australian films that we haven't seen. Red Dog. Oh, it's a touching film about a dog. Yeah, not like Lassie. It's better than Lassie.
I did a movie with an Australian guy. He did Romper Stomper.
That would be Russell Crowe.
Yeah, but the director...
Oh, I don't know who that is.
I forget his name, but then I did a movie with him because he did Romper Stomper, and it was like an absurd... God, I forget... Jeffrey something? I forget his name. But the script was sort of absurd. What are you guys hovering over this equipment for? Speak. Don't
They're
hover.
checking
Tell us
something.
what's happening. All right. Well, you make us nervous when you hover like that. We're used to just gripping and ripping. We don't like people hovering. It's like when you're in the emergency room. You don't want anybody near your fucking bed. If someone's near your bed, shit's wrong.
When have you been in the emergency room? What happened?
I have, knock wood, I have not. But my babies have been in the emergency room because they were born early.
I've been there.
My oldest boy was born 3 months premature because he couldn't wait to get away from that cunt either.
I've been in the emergency room a couple of times. Head injury in Britain. Yeah. I got a fractured skull. So
Drinking accident?
No. That one was someone just came up after a gig and smashed my head into a table.
What
in
the
Nottingham.
fuck is with you and Eddie Ift and audience members fighting?
No, that one, I've only been hit twice. One time's on the internet and is fairly well documented where I got punched. And this other one, just a guy, I never really realised why he just came up behind and smashed my head into the table. And I fractured my skull because that's the softest bit above your nose between your eye sockets. And he hit me here, but that bit cracked. And this is the wonderful thing about Britain and the no medical service or anything. They just don't even ask your name or anything. They just take it. Like Jefferies isn't my real surname. I went in under Jim Jefferies. My real surname's Nugent, right? And so I didn't even give them my real name, and they bandaged me up, and then I just sort of left I wanted to.
They said your name was Pele.
Yeah, they didn't give a fuck.
And that's the difference, that's the monumental difference in healthcare between the countries, every other country and us, is that you can just go in and they just treat you. They don't ask for your insurance.
No, they don't ask for your insurance, they don't ask for anything. You can have insurance. You can have it on top. Because the thing is where insurance helps in Britain, let's say you need to go to a dermatologist because you got some skin thing, right? So you go to your regular doctor and then he'll refer you to a dermatologist. Now you have to go, if you're on the National Health, you go into a waiting list. And it might be like 3 weeks before you get to see the guy, right?
By that time, you're fucking purple, covered in scabs.
But if you got the private healthcare cover, you go in the next day, right? Okay. If you pay the money on top. But otherwise, you join the waiting list, right? So that's the difference. But where it does help is the emergency room with the public healthcare is fucking outstanding. Because it doesn't matter who you are. Everyone gets served exactly the same. You just go in, and you can be on holiday in Britain and break your leg, and they don't give a shit that you're a tourist. They'll still fix you up.
And how do they ensure that you pay them?
But they don't. It's paid for in tax money. No one pays.
We left England because we were tired of taxation without representation. And now the grand irony of ironies is that England is taxation and it's completely represented.
Yeah.
And every step of the way. The streets are paved. I know I'm going to get fucking tweets from England like, I live in Devonshire and my street's not paved.
The tax is about 4 to 5% higher than America. It's not much higher than America. And it's you get a lot more for it, I'll tell you that much.
Have you been to the emergency room in the States?
I know. I can't lie to you and say I have, but I expect it's awful.
Nick DiPaolo, great comic, said,
I love Nick, yeah.
He'd go to the emergency room, and the line is so long, the guy in front of me had a musket wound. I love that shit. I mean, what a fucking line, right? But it really is indicative of like how it goes down. You really feel like such a stooge sitting there with, your throat's closing because you got stung by a bee and you're allergic, and there's just like addicts in front of you like, well, I need my motherfucking medicine. And you just got to wait behind, like, it seems to be a ghetto hangout.
Yeah, when I was in the head injury one, they put me in a room with 6 other guys to spend the night, which should have been called people who act like cunts, right? And it was just a room of like drunken, like people being glassed. Like being glassed is a very popular thing in Britain when there's a fight. Everyone always goes to smash a bottle into someone's face. I used to do a joke about it that was the British are the only people who use the word glass as a verb. Right? So you'd have these guys that were all, like their faces were all cut up. I had a fractured skull. And then the cops were coming in and interviewing everyone and just, doing the pulling of the curtain.
Hello.
Yeah. So what happened in this fracas or whatever they call it? Yeah. But it was just drunken punching each other up.
I'm always fascinated with England that the cops have no guns. And obviously gun crime in England is minimal. Like that old Bill Hicks bit, like some shit breaks out. Oh, I have a soccer ball. There's no guns in England. And like the cops have those little batons. And I always thought like...
They have pepper spray and stuff.
Right, but just if a cop pulls you over, you're like walking the streets of Mount Olympus, and some shit breaks out, and a shoving match, and a cop gets out of his car, tells you to sit down, and you tell him to fuck up, and he takes out that sidearm and points it at you, you're laying on the fucking ground.
Yeah, but you're not there's not going to be a Trayvon Martin type activity happening as well in society.
Well, there's an ebb and flow, sure.
you gotta weigh up the good with the bad. The reason that they need guns here is because they know the other guy might have a gun.
Well, we know they do, yeah.
Yeah. So, if someone's up to no good, they probably have a gun on them. So the cops have to have a gun. It's
I guess mostly I'm impressed that the bobbies in England are able to control shit without guns.
Yeah, look, but the riot squads have guns.
Oh.
They can call in guys with guns. It's just the beat cops don't have guns. Sometimes
you'll get pulled over for a traffic violation in the States, and I assume Australian cops, guns?
My brother's a sergeant in the SWAT team of New South Wales.
The sniper from the Olympics?
Yeah. My brother...
Strawberry kisses.
Yeah. So, yeah, the Australians do have guns, yeah.
Well, in England, you get pulled a traffic stop. They just come to the car and probably talk to you. But here in the U.S., sometimes you get a traffic stop, and when the guy comes to your car, he has his fucking hand on his gun.
Yeah, but you might have a gun.
But I was doing 45 in a 25. There's no reason to assume you might need that shit. I'm in a minivan.
I had a horrible break-in. A house robbery happened, a home invasion where I was tied up and all that type of stuff.
Whoa. All right, let's hold on. Where was this?
This was in Manchester.
Is it in England?
North of England, yeah.
All right, I've never heard this story. So...
I told it on Opie and Anthony, so I don't want to tell the whole story again, and it's on the internet and people have heard me say it. But
it's all right.
Basically, do you know Steve Hughes, the comedian Steve Hughes?
No.
He's a very popular comic in Britain. Arguably, I reckon one of the best political comics in the world.
I heard he killed Tommy Cooper.
Yeah, he did. Anyway, so me and Stevie were in this house. And my girlfriend was in the next room asleep, and we were watching The Unforgiven. I think we were smoking a joint or something. Now, the guys thought we were drug dealers.
Right.
Because I drove a nice car, neither of us seemed to go to work. We used to, like, if someone knocked on the door at 3 p.m, I'd answer in my underwear eating a bowl of cereal. Just standard drug dealer behaviour.
See what I was eating when you got here?
Yeah, exactly. And you're in a wife beater eating cereal.
But I put on a nice shirt for the
with
radio.
A couple of Mexicans running around. Like, you look like a drug dealer. Like, it was.
La raza, cacuyo mañana.
Yeah. And so they cased the place out, and they went up there was a drain pipe that came out of the wall, down the side of the wall, that went up to where the toilet was, right? And so one of them scurried up the drain pipe, went through the window, went down the stairs, and let the other one in the door, because the upstairs window was open. Now, I heard the footsteps on the stairs, but I thought it was my girlfriend going up or down from the bathroom. So we just sat there, and the next thing I know, a fucking machete is put at my throat. And I
heard you tell this story in Opie and Anthony. Yeah. Just tell it as if you never told it before, because it's a lot of new people listening.
And it was a curved blade like a one you'd cut sugarcane with.
Like a Sith.
Like like a big rusty,
the Grim Reaper.
a rusty thing. And he came in, and then another nervous bloke who was a lot thinner. The other guy was stacked, right?
Yeah.
This other lad comes in with a hammer.
Jeez, that's scarier.
Yeah, that's kind of scary, isn't it?
Yeah.
And he comes in with a hammer, and he just sort of stands there. And they're both wearing like ski masks. And they
Well,
go,
how do you know they weren't skiers and they just got lost?
Exactly. And it was the middle of June.
Oh,
so
that's how
it
you
was
knew.
lovely, warm weather we were having.
Dubious men.
And and it was 3 a.m. And so one of them goes, "Where's the drugs? Where's the drugs?" And you've never seen anything funnier than Steve Hughes sheepishly handing the guy a joint.
Just slow. It's only like an inch left. Like, wow, you guys went out of your way to just take a hit of my joint.
Yeah. So
Wow.
So we didn't have any drugs. And I think I had like half a gram of coke on me. It was a pretty limited. And I have to give Steve Hughes credit for this joke. This is one of these things. You know, when comics get accused of stealing jokes from each other. Me and Steve obviously both do this on stage, and I will get the occasional thing go, "Steve Hughes tells that story," and I'm like, "Yeah, I was the guy that he talks about with the knife to the fucking throat. I think we both have ownership of this, right?" But Steve, when he tells it, he has a joke that goes, he goes. Because Steve's a metalhead with long hair and a beard and used to be the drummer for Slaughterlord from Australia. Like he was...
Oh, Steve Hughes!
And so Stevie he has a joke where he goes, "I think you guys have come to the wrong house. All we have here is 2,000 heavy metal albums. And I think you may be into hip-hop." So he never says their colour. He just says that in the routine.
Were they black guys?
Yeah.
See, black English guys are it's like seeing a unicorn. It's the weirdest shit. When you see a black guy and he goes, "Look, bruv, let me hit," I don't know how to butcher the accent.
You know, the main black guy out of The Wire is British.
I did not know that.
McNulty's British as well.
Yeah.
And the main guy that runs the whole thing, and he was in The Office for a little bit as well.
Yeah.
He's British as well. So
I didn't know
there
that.
you go. He played a tough guy.
And he likes hip-hop.
Yeah, probably.
Not Slaughterlord.
One of the guys was mixed race, because that came up in the court case. Anyway, so they come in, and Steve sort of hands in the joint. "We don't have any money, And then one of them just sort of picks me up by the back of the hair and holds a knife to my throat and sort of drags me around hostage around the house. And he goes, drags me into the room, and the girlfriend literally goes, "Hey, honey, you coming to bed?" And she sees what's going on. It's like, does that silent scream. And she's naked, right? So I'm like, "Just stay under the bed. Don't look up or anything." And she puts like the duvet over her head. Fuck, I haven't told this story for years. She puts the duvet up over her head, and then Steve has to like start getting all this shit and putting it in my car, right? But then the guy goes, "Where's the keys to your car?" And I went, "Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, because now you have a problem. Not the knife in the neck. When they ask for the keys to your car, you're like, "Oh shit, now I have a problem."
Yeah.
Because they want my car.
No, look, take it all, just leave.
Oh, I thought you didn't.
Everything's insured. I don't give a fuck.
Oh,
right?
Okay.
But he's like, the problem I have is exactly what I said to him. I said, he goes, "Where's the keys to the car?" I go, "Oh, I'm not sure." He goes, "Don't hold out on me." He pulls my hand out and he starts cutting into my pinky finger, right? And I'm there going, "Mate, every morning it takes me 10 to 20 minutes to find the keys in my car. Under this pressure right now, I'm a bit stoned. Do you really think I know where my fuck... If you let me walk around a bit, I'll get them for you." Like this, right? You stop holding out. And then one of the guys was like, "Yeah, that's true. It takes me a while to find my keys as well." Like he was like, "Yeah, no, I understand where he's coming from."
The big guy said that.
Yeah, no, the big guy's cutting in, the skinnier guy with a hammer, and he's like, "Well, just think about it." And I see like I was in my underwear, it was late at night, just underwear and a t-shirt, and I go, "Over there, right? Check those jeans." And he checks the jeans, the keys were there, and I was like, "Fucking fantastic." So he ties me up. He gets
This is crazy.
He gets the power cord from my girlfriend's hair straighteners, and he starts to tie me up. Now at this stage, I'm acting like, "Oh, it's really tight," because I have visions. I have visions of everyone getting tied up. and me breaking free and kicking some ass.
Being the hero.
Right?
Jim Jefferies, hero.
Right. But that leads you to ask, why wouldn't I just kick ass before I was tied up? Why would
I'll tell you why, because that's when they expected. You were taking the long view.
Yeah. I was going to wait until they were over there tying up, and then I was going to...
They expect resistance in the front. That's why such a display of power to intimidate.
Yes.
And then you wait till everyone's cool, calm. I've given you the keys to the car. And here's Steve gave you a joint. Pow!
And I had a little bit of a cut on my neck, and they cut a little bit of my head as well, and I was bleeding from my head.
And that's right where you got hit in the...
that's the other side I got hit, but that's where the blood was coming out. There, I've still got a scar.
Your head's like a goddamn pincushion.
I've still got a scar that when I shave my head, I look like I'm a tough guy when I shave my head because of all the scar tissue. Yeah.
I always would have thought you were a tough guy.
And so I'm tied up. And they put a shoe bag over my head.
Ooh, that's the scariest thing, right?
Yeah, like not like a pillowcase. You know when you buy a pair of like nice shoes like once in your life, and it comes in a little drawstring bag for some reason, like Julius Marlowe's or something. I must have been to a wedding that month because I had a shoe bag. Right? I don't even own black shoes.
Super bizarre confluence of events that they had that to reach for.
Yeah. And my room's a fucking mess. And they were sort of telling... I'm a grubby guy, and they were sort of telling me how messy my room was. and so they put the shoe bag over my head. And then one of the guys out of the two, the nicer one, right, good guy, the guy with the hammer, he goes over to my chest of drawers, and I have pictures... I'm not as sentimental as I used to be, evidently, but I used to have pictures of my nephews and nieces up because I just moved away from Australia and I had pictures of family. There's all these pictures of these kids, and one of them picks up the picture and goes, because the guy with the knife's getting really violent now and saying he's going to rape the girl and he's getting out of control, right? And he goes, either you guys got kids, and Steve Hughes, as quick as a fucking whip, goes, I got a 5-year-old boy. Right? Steve doesn't have a kid. Steve doesn't have any fucking kids, right? I'm the one tied up. He's selling his best mate up the fucking river, right? And going, I've got a 5-year-old boy. And I'm thinking, you cunt. Who are they going to kill now, right? So I went, I've got a 4-year-old girl, right? Because who are you going to kill? The one with the 5-year-old boy or the 4-year-old girl? You're going to
kill. And the girl goes, I have a 2-year-old tranny. Like they had to just keep out getting younger and different sexes.
Steve goes, my one's retarded.
If I had a crystal ball, I never would have stepped in there. I'm so sorry. That was so brilliant, Jim. God damn it. And this all happened.
This all happened, right?
Mine's retarded. What do you say? Mine's retarded with no limbs.
I just like... and so they about 40 minutes past, they start gathering everything up in the house, and as they're leaving, the nice one goes, he's about to leave. We just went to Prague, and I had this little tiny pocket watch that I bought off some flea market for about $5. It looked like it was an antique, and it had a sort of Nazi feel with an eagle on it and everything. And I thought it was like a cool looking thing, right? And this guy picked it up, and it looked like an antique. And as he was leaving, and I knew he was leaving, he goes, "Is this got any sentimental value?" I didn't even know at that stage what he picked up because I had the bag over my head, and I was just like, "Take everything," you know what I mean? And he goes, "Is this got any sentimental value?" And I went, "No, but the DVD player is a family heirloom." And the guy sort of laughed. It's like we'd become friends, and then and then they left. They said that one of the guys would stay in the house, where they got our ATM cards and our PIN numbers, and they were going to go get the cash. The other guy was going to stay and make sure it was the right PIN numbers we'd given, and all that. And we heard the car drive away, and then we sort of went, "Mate," like this, right? There was no noise. It was obviously they both left. They just wanted us to stay in one position as long as possible. Steve runs to the kitchen. He runs back in, and he was laying on the ground with a blanket over his head so he wouldn't see anything as well, right? And
you get tied up. He's under a fucking Dora the Explorer cover.
They had the knife in the back of my neck the whole time. If he moved
why he got such nice... You know what? They were huge Slaughterlord fans.
Yeah, exactly. They were big Slaughterlord fans. So if you get the chance, look up a cover of Slaughterlord, because it's in Australia and they're trying to act all gothic. And there's nothing... It's not Europe. There's no castles or anything. It's just like them in front of a sandstone church, like... Yeah, we're fucking like with wind blowing in their ears, but you can tell it's like a sunny, nice day.
The guy with a surfboard goes by in the background.
So anyway, so Steve runs off.
How long would you say they were in your house in the whole thing?
40 minutes, 45 minutes. Wow. So Steve runs off, gets a knife, and he cuts me free from the cord. And we get up and we start man-hugging. And then the girlfriend gets out of bed and I hug her, make sure she's okay. And then I see her in the corner, and fucking thank God I'm broken up with this bitch, man, because she's holding the power cord to these hair straighteners and she's crying. And I went, what? It's obviously a delayed reaction of stress that's happened to her.
Right.
Because she goes to Steve, she goes, Steve, why did you have to cut these? You can only buy these in America. Like they were like special hair straighteners that she'd ordered in.
You ruined my cord.
Oh, yeah. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Right. So then we go to call, we're calling 911 and...
Is 911 universal? Is it Australia, England, English-speaking countries? Is pretty much always 911?
No, in Australia it's 000.
Okay.
In Australia, 000, which is weird because that what's his name, guy from Star Trek, and
Shatner.
William Shatner used to do that Rescue 911 show.
Yeah.
His big thing, and allegedly he was on Opie and Anthony with me and going on about how many lives it saved, and then I proved that many people in Australia died because kids didn't know the right number when they're. Because of that TV show.
And then you just see smoke coming out from under his toupee. He was so incensed at you.
Yeah, because he thought he was
Jim,
a hero.
you have it all wrong.
So anyway,
911 is called.
So 911's called, and while we're on the phone, we hear the door knock, right? And now Steve's got the knife that he's doing. He goes, "Who is it? Who is it?" He's a big fucking guy. And then they go, "It's the police. We've got them." Right?
How much time had gone by?
They got them before we called. This is less than 5 minutes.
All right.
Two black youths driving a brand new BMW at 4 o'clock in the morning and speeding around like idiots. The police,
and what town was this?
This is in Manchester. And the police went, hold on a second, right?
Hello, gents.
And they caught them. And then obviously
DWB, driving while black.
From my registration, they knew exactly where I live and they went straight back to the house. And so I got my car back and they said, do you want to point them out in a lineup? And we couldn't. I said, I'm not comfortable doing that because we didn't really see their faces because they were wearing ski masks. Physically, I knew who they were. And
if you could saw my finger, I'll tell you that's the guy.
Yeah. So 6 months pass. We go to court, and they're both sitting there, and they testify against each other. They say, "Oh, I was just walking along the street," because the cops didn't know because they both ran from the vehicle and got tackled from the one 100 meters that way and one 200 meters that way.
Cheers to the Manchester police. That's
right?
Nice job.
And there's all helicopter footage of this because I watched this in fucking court. Right? I thought they just pulled him over, woo, and then they handcuffed him and all that. I'm going, no wonder my fucking suspension's fucked. It's going through gardens and over speed humps. And I'm just thinking, this car's never run quite right again since that thing, you know. So anyway, they both said that they weren't the driver. One said he wasn't even there, that he was just walking on the street, although he was wearing a ski mask.
Yeah.
And had a hammer on his person.
Well,
and my watch in his pocket.
Yeah.
Right? And they go to him, they go, well, how did you get that? He goes, a criminal was running along the road with this stuff and he handed them to me. And then they go, he handed them, and you chose to take them. Yep. And you chose to put the ski mask on your head. Oh, in hindsight, I shouldn't have done that.
God damn, you're good. You are so fucking good.
And so I'm sitting there in court going, is anyone believing this? Right now, I'd watch.
There is that probably that 1% of your mind going, all it takes is like one person to believe this, and this fucking prick walks out of here.
Yeah, exactly.
Weirder things. I mean, OJ got let loose.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And the other guy was like, I wasn't driving. I was the passenger. You can see me running as the passenger from the car. I was just walking along the street. And he was saying that his mate was driving. He goes, he was driving? I do know him. Not very well, though. I think he's a bad person. And I was just walking along the street and I was trying to get cigarettes late at night, and he said, do you want a lift? Because that's what you do after a crime. you pick up hitchhikers.
Yeah.
Right?
To blow them.
Yeah. And so he goes, he said, this is all in 5 minutes. He said, do you want to have a lift? And I said, sure. And I got in the car and he said, hey, you see that ski mask, that machete and all that jewelry? You can have that if you like. So I put all of that stuff in my pockets.
Wow.
Right?
Well, I guess the cops in England don't need guns if criminals are this stupid.
Right. Well, the thing is, they should have just pleaded guilty and gotten half the sentence that they got in the end. Anyway,
What was their sentence?
12 years.
That's a long time.
That's a long time. Grievous bodily harm, aggravated burglary, grand theft auto, attempted rape because they threatened the thing, and
Well, that should be more than 12 years.
yeah, and possession of drugs. And they were our drugs.
That's justice.
The cops even pulled me aside. The cops pulled me into one room and they said, Jim, look, they go, one more question. Do you know anything about that cocaine that they had on them? And I said, no, I don't.
Should have put it on Steve.
And they said, funny, your fingerprints were all over it, right? And I went, they made me touch it. And they all laughed and we all carried on.
Oh, they knew.
Well, they knew it was my coke, but they were just like, let's fuck these cunts, man. Let's fuck them. Right?
12 years seems like a small sentence for all the things you did.
Well, the next step up is murder. You only get like 15 to 20, don't you? You know, like
Why so
like
lenient?
manslaughter.
Is there a death penalty in England?
No.
The death penalty is absurd.
Well,
Are you pro or against?
No, I don't think people should be killed. I'm not.
I would be pro death penalty if they actually killed them.
Yeah.
Like if you got sentenced to death and they led you outside and shot you. Like Chris Rock had that great line, like, it costs too much. He goes, because a stabbing chair don't cost nothing. Just sit your ass down 2 at a time.
Yeah.
But like you see on TV, like on death row, there's guys on death row for 30 years.
Yeah, it's bullshit.
And it's because it's with death row in the States, it's an unlimited appeals process. You never run out of appeals on death row. I guess you can eventually. But like if there's people on death row, then by definition, it's not death row.
No.
It's living here row.
Yeah.
Like if you just fucking kill them, kill them.
Well, you know, I don't want to.
That sounded
I don't want
so
to preach.
crass.
I don't want to preach
That
what
sounded
Hitler
so horrible.
did, but Hitler seemed to do it fairly affordably.
Yeah, go on.
And to a mass market.
Yeah.
I'm just saying we can clear death row up pretty quickly. Like if they're committed to doing it.
He sold death like he was selling Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
He really marketed it, had it in perfect containers, and he knew how to ship it and retrieve it.
Yeah, the engineering aspect of it was remarkable. But like still
Jim Jefferies,
still
by the way, has
morally
a
wrong.
great DVD out. Morally wrong. Jim Jefferies DVD is I Swear to God, and you can get that if you go to jmohr.com. What we're going to start doing is the guests, when they have things that you can buy, and there'll be a picture of Jim's DVD and Alcoholocaust. Speaking of Hitler,
yeah, well,
that was the second name. You know, it's Final Solution Holocaust or Alcoholocaust. I'm not sure which way I'm going to go with it. So I like that you picked up the scraps and ran with that. Because people don't realize that. There was about 4 years of Hitler and his guys in a room going, what are we going to call this? Final Solution, Fudgy Sunday. There's a whole bunch of names.
Juno Mohr.
Juno Mohr. Slaughterlord.
Slaughterlord. There's another one.
They Made Me Touch It. Yeah. that's special number 3. They Made Me Touch It. That's pretty good for a special. So yeah, but Jim's. We're gonna start putting guests stuff up on jmohr.com. So Jim will put a DVD photo up of I Swear to God, and it is so good. I remember my wife and I watching it on TV. HBO, right?
HBO, and Alcoholocaust was on Showtime.
Alcoholocaust was on Showtime. That's not. I don't think you can pre-order that yet. So let's just hedge our bets.
You can definitely get British copies if you've got a multi-regional player, which most people do.
Okay, so if I put a picture of that up on my website,
yeah, you can buy it on the American one. You can buy it in Britain, definitely Britain and Australia and every other territory, South Africa and you can buy it in America. You can buy it on Amazon, but it'll be a British copy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So go to jmohr.com and then look at Jim's DVDs and click the Amazon link. And by the way, you guys have been buying shitloads of stuff through the Amazon banner on the website. Thank you. It's awesome. I just bought a whole bunch of coke from two black guys in ski masks with my excess money in Manchester.
It was only a little amount of coke.
Are you a Manchester United or Manchester City guy?
I'm a Fulham guy, but if I had to choose a Manchester team, I'd be a City guy.
And they just fucking waxed Manchester
Yeah,
U.
yeah. They're
That was a big upset, right?
We're the richest team in the world now.
I thought Manchester United was.
No.
Really?
No. Manchester City 2
right.
years ago, some Arabs came in and bought it and went, ha-ha, look at our new team. And they spent all the money in the world. Yeah.
You know why they had so much money? They sold their house in Mount Olympus.
Exactly.
Boom, motherfuckers. Suck on that.
That wouldn't even pay for half a player. But anyway. So what happened was we go to court, they testify, blah, 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 against each other. And there was the most Australian thing I've ever said in my entire life. This is the most Australian thing I've ever said. First of all, as I said, I watched too much American courtroom dramas because I didn't know how things went. Because you know how like in Britain they've all the lawyers have got wigs on and shit. They've got the horse.
Is that for anonymity so you don't recognize them out on the street?
You know what I think it is?
They do it in Canada too.
I think it's the idea of a uniform. This is what I think. It's because
uniform.
You don't have Lionel Hutz. You don't have like Bob Odenkirk's character off Breaking Bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So everyone's got the black gown, the wig. So every lawyer looks exactly the same. You don't get a hi.
Oh, so
have you been in an injury?
I was thinking judges. The lawyers wear that shit?
Yeah, the lawyers wear it. Yeah.
That is fucking absurd.
And they fucking love the wig as well. They love the wig.
Do they have my wig's better than his wig? Like that guy's that's the guy.
It's all horsehair, and if you go into their offices,
but are there
it's
different wigs?
It's sitting on a wooden head, like next to him. Like
spooky.
I've got the wig.
But are there different wigs? Like, can you style your wig?
There's a little
like a black
woman.
There's
a little bit of a deal to it.
You know, like black women will have all different types of wigs.
The wig's got to have. There can be variances, I think. But I think it's pretty much the flat on top, curly, tight curls on the side.
Founding forefather.
With a little rat's tail.
Yeah, little Thomas Jefferson wig.
Yeah. So that's very popular.
All right, I didn't realize the lawyers did it.
No, the lawyers do it. Yeah, and they do it in Australia as well. So I've been watching too much American courtroom stuff, and they said, you said that you couldn't see them in a lineup. Their lawyer said like this, right? And I said, look, mate, that's the guy with the hammer. That was the guy with the machete. I've no doubt in my mind. I don't even know why we're here like this, right? And then the judge sort of goes, fuck, like that, right? And he goes, day over. Everyone's over. You can't eyewitness someone in a British courtroom unless you've done it in an eyewitness. So that's just be the case. You can't do that dramatic American. It was him. You can't do that, right?
Why not?
I don't know. But I from movies have told me different. But I don't know.
Movies
the entire jury was kicked out, and we had to start again with a new jury. And I was the guy who was from the government who was taking care of us. I was like, you got to tell me all the different little rules.
He's like, I didn't know you watched fucking Lenny Briscoe on Law and Order your whole life.
Yeah.
I thought you knew how it worked in your own country.
Yeah, I said, I don't know what's going on. So anyway, next day we go back, and then they hand me the machete, and they go, is this the machete? Before I go on, because I get in trouble from Eddie Ift all the time, please listen to my podcast, Talking Shit with Eddie Ift.
Yeah.
There we go.
We were on the iTunes charts right behind each other.
That was our highest rank, 7th.
I was 6, you guys are 7.
Yeah.
And then the usual cast of characters that just fucking live.
You can't beat them.
It's like Garth Brooks. I remember Metallica in like 90, I guess. Metallica had an album out, and Garth Brooks had 2 albums out. And those albums would be number 1 and number 3. And Metallica was 2. And Garth Brooks' 2 albums would flip-flop between 1 and 3, and Metallica stayed at 2. And they interviewed Metallica on MTV, and they said, who the fuck is Garth Brooks? Like, they had never heard of this guy.
Yeah.
So,
Adam Carolla and Mark Maron of the Rolling Stones and the Beatles are podcasting.
Rogan's the fucking top of the totem pole. You've been on that show.
Yeah, I did Rogan's, yeah.
He fucking grinds that shit out. He's the king.
So let's go back to the story. So they hand me the knife.
But I want people to listen to your podcast because you have more moving parts in your podcast than anyone else. You had guys at shows on acid, naked, in body paint that looked like tuxedos. You got homeless guys doing stunts.
We invest all the money from the podcast back into the podcast. We haven't made a cent.
Yeah, that's really the fatal flaw of the podcast.
We do it
the
for
money.
fun.
You got to basically be the Bernie Madoff of podcasts. Take the money and split.
I just hope I sell more tickets doing stand-up from it. I maybe there's money that I make out of the podcast that I don't see.
Go see Jim Jefferies at the Ontario Mills Improv. It's coming up June 3rd. Let me tell you guys something. Fucking hilarious. If you want to see, I mean, there's really, and I've said this before in the podcast, and we'll get right back to the courtroom.
Sure.
There are only this is not a racial thing, and you'll agree with me. There are only 6 white headliners making the rounds. It's like me, you, Saget. Every once in a while, Kevin Nealon gets back into the fold. Yeah. But it's pretty much become a Latin and a black.
Well, Rogan and Stanhope.
But Rogan's theaters, and Stanhope plays bars in Yuma.
Yeah.
Doing
the theaters and stuff and doing the clubs to the level that sort of we and you do it. Yeah, there's not many white guys out there.
And it's if you guys don't come see us, we don't get asked back.
But it's that weird thing that people reference it as just another white guy when we're not even the majority anymore.
No, you go to improv.com and you can click on every city where there's an improv and look at the calendar and it's like Sugar Sammy. Now you have Indian guys. That's a new influx. You know what I mean? There's a guy in Dallas and Houston. He just runs Texas. His name is Sugar Sammy.
Yeah, I know and Sugar Sammy. He used to be in Canada.
He's a fucking Indian guy Russell Peters.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, I had Sugar Sammy in here last week. La. He really sold every ticket there was, man. And I'm like, how are we doing? He goes, it's slow, Daddy. I'm not going to lie to you. It's a little slow this week.
You know when you go to Miami, anywhere in Florida, and you're not black or Mexican, and they're just like, we don't know how to sell tickets for you. And you're like, but I sell everywhere else.
Yeah, put me on the radio.
Geez.
Put me on the radio, and I'll tell people to come see me after telling anecdotes.
Yeah.
Don't complicate winning, you fucking putz. So go see Jim Jefferies, June 3rd, Ontario Improv in the Inland Empire.
I don't think there's any white people mailing lists. I think there's just mailing.
Interesting.
You know what I mean?
Wow, I never thought of that. And we
never
sell
DVDs. They can target us very well.
We never sell DVDs in the parking lot of Ralph's either.
Yeah, they never see the name Smith and go, we know which column to put him in.
Wow, I never even thought of that.
I think that is the case. I don't know. Does that sound racist for me to say?
Well, if it's pragmatic, I really, and we've talked a lot about race on this podcast. We've redlined it a lot. I have a firm belief that if it's pragmatism that you're talking, what you said was a complete pragmatic view of why certain people are selling. And if people want to air you or me out about that's fucking racist, well then, you know what? Then fuck you. If you can't fucking talk like people about people, then how is anyone ever going to be equal? Do you know what I mean? If you're a waiter and you don't think black people tip very well and you say that, you're not a racist. You just had a whole shitload of black customers that didn't tip you.
That. I don't know if you know this, but the staff always said to you, I always act like a jerk when I get drunk or something like that, and I try not to get drunk. And then sometimes I think, maybe the staff hates me. But no, most staff at most comedy clubs really like me because my fans fucking tip, man.
Yeah, mine too.
And they're drunks.
Because they're white.
And they have to tip in comparison to how much they drink. And I'm Moneyball. I tell you, statistically, they're not looking at the right stats. If you just look at my figures, you have to look at other stats on me. The bar stats are unbelievable. I'm the alcoholocaust guy. I sell drinks. I am a beer-selling machine.
Let's see how drunk we can get people to show up and be drunk in Ontario.
Is it hard? Do you ever get that one where the audience keep on bringing you shots, and by the second show I go to the management, I go, don't let them bring me shots on stage because I act like a fag if I don't drink them. I got to drink them. And I don't want to be halfway through a joke going, no, thank you, sorry, because I lose the audience a little bit. Don't let them buy me shots, right?
Yeah.
And so this club owner in Kansas, in the
band Kansas?
No, Stanford and
I'm
Sons,
confused.
the Glazier brothers. And he instead of listening to me when I said, don't let them buy me shots, he turns to his staff and goes, Jim doesn't want any more shots. He doesn't want any more.
He says it over the intercom?
Yeah, he said, so when Jim orders a shot, say he likes vodka and give him a shot of water. Because they just want to keep selling drinks, right? So now I've got shots of water coming on stage. Not only I'm lying now because I'm a bad actor, because now I'm taking shots and going, that's... I don't even like vodka. Yeah, and I'm thinking I should be passed out now, so I'm trying to act more drunk on stage. It's just a vicious cycle.
Did you realize, like, wow, that's been 11 shots of fake vodka, and you're like, so they we're fucking in the courtroom, just staggering around. You go to reach for the stool, but you can't find it behind you, and the fucking cunt with the sword comes up. Did you have to actually act more? Did you act more drunk? Did you try?
I did, of course. I've been acting more drunk my whole career, to be honest with you, because there's sometimes I am really, really drunk on stage, and then there's sometimes I was playing it up a bit. I can go from a little bit drunk to more drunk. And now, like my new Edinburgh show, I'm calling Fully Functional because it's going to be the first time I've done the festival where I'm not wasted on stage because I've got things happening in my personal life where I want to clear myself up a bit more.
But when I watch Alcoholicost,
I was drunk on Alcoholicost.
Right, and there was so much booze that I saw that they edited to make your pint match. Yeah. Because you would drink like 3/4 of it, reach for a full one, and then in the very next shot of the wide shot, it was down to like the 3/4 drank. Like that fucking editor tried to match your beer instead of like me believing. I
was drunk, and I swear to God, but I was wasted on Alcoholicost.
But you didn't watching it. I didn't think you were drunk for a moment.
No, and I swear to God, I wasn't. I covered it up pretty well because it was HBO and all that type of bullshit. I didn't want to fuck anything up. But I fucked up a lot of things in my career through alcohol. But on the other hand, the career's going fine.
Yeah, you're doing.
Like I don't know how much further I could have gone, but I've gone further than I thought I would go.
Would you agree that this is interesting? Would you agree? I don't want to say what that sounded like. What I'm about to say is really interesting. What a cunt. But no, but what you said isn't your career is great and stand-up wise. You can go to 3 continents and sell more tickets than I can sell in one. It's going fantastic. Would you agree that you could pretty much do drugs, be drunk? You just have to show up pretty much on time and everything's fine.
Yeah, I think...
As long as you're on time, they don't care what the fuck you do once you get there.
Doug Stanhope once said something to me where he goes, just as long as you don't pull your cock out. Is the one thing. Just as long as you don't get your cock out, you're fine.
Yeah?
Yeah, and I think that's pretty true, really.
Be on time with your cock in your pants.
Yeah, and I have gotten my cock out on occasions on stage.
I've done stand-up in my boxer shorts.
Yeah,
And then I found it oddly liberating. I was at the Comedy Works in Denver, and some lady said, what's with your mander pants? But apparently, my underwear was, my boxers were, coming up a little bit outside of my jeans.
Yeah.
And it was just one of those heckles that kind of stopped you. Usually I just ignore all of them or I'll go, no, be cool. I don't want you to get thrown out.
Yeah.
I appeal like I'm the nice guy.
Yeah.
And then if they keep going, I fucking light them up. But I just froze. It was just one of those things where I go, my what? She goes, what's with your mander pants? And I go, what the fuck are mander pants? And she goes, your underwear. They're like, fucking mander pants. So then I just took my pants off because I just had red boxers on.
Yeah.
And then I did my entire show in my boxers. And then I remember halfway through going, this feels way too great.
Yeah.
If I
you don't want to become that guy where every gig you do it.
But I wish I could. If there was a way I could go in my pajamas, I'd be pretty happy.
Look, I'm jealous. Tim Minchin does shows with no shoes on. And I think that's remarkable that someone can just do that. But when you said that what's with the Amanda Pants thing, there is I don't know if I'm spilling the beans here, but audience members who want to heckle, I think they have to be clever, but if they really want to destroy a comic, it's very simple. They just have to yell something bad about the way you look or that you're not funny. If someone yells out, you're not funny, that does take you back. You go, oh, what? Right? Or if someone goes to me, you've gained weight. That'll crush me. I'm done. I'm done.
There's one word that I heard maybe twice earlier in my career, and it's the one that will just annihilate you. When you're just in the middle of a story, and there's a pause. Next.
Ah,
That is the fucking worst.
I had a group of guys who sat in the front row of my gig once, and every time I said a joke, they all yawned in unison. And that
Maybe they were
was
sleepy.
devastating because the rest of the audience couldn't really see it as much. A few people around them heard it, and to me, it was just so I'd tell a joke, and then you'd hear,
They're amazing.
and then you'd hear.
Where was that?
That was in England.
I want those guys to come to my show.
That would have been in Nottingham or something in the Midlands. And I think that they were even fans, and they just sort of wanted to. They just wanted to catch me.
And people behind them, because their head's going up, thinks they're laughing.
Yeah.
But they're not.
One of the. I'm trying to think of the best heckle I ever heard. I think it was Andrew Maxwell, who I'm a big fan of, Irish comic. And if you don't know who Andrew Maxwell is, and you remember me getting on ecstasy on Opie and Anthony and fighting with the porn star, Andrew Maxwell was the other guy on ecstasy in the room. If you remember, that was like probably my most popular Opie and Anthony visit.
Don't you love going on their show?
I love it.
I fucking love those guys.
They were the first guys to support me before HBO, before anything. They were the first guys to have me on any medium in America.
When they were on NEW in New York, I went in the afternoon to promote, I think like Caroline's or something, it was Gotham Comedy Club, and there was a woman on the counter in front of Opie getting her clit pierced, and I'm like, on the radio, and that's not something you're used to seeing up close. B, it's fucking radio. They could have just had nothing and said, here she goes. Like, that's what I've always, my wife will always go like, what is with radio and hot chicks? Like, don't they realize nobody can see them? Like, you go, hey, we got the Hooters girls in studio. Just say it.
Yeah, but it's
one has to be
theater
there.
of the mind. These girls are hotter in my head. I think even like now that you can see photos on the internet of what happened is ruining it.
You're like, oh, that girl's, this is terrible.
Yeah. I think there was like, There was
porn stars on the radio.
The porn star
Kiss
said
of
something
death.
to me on the radio, and she goes, "You smell, and you smell of booze." And I hadn't been. I was up. I was still on pills, just peeling off my head. Right? She goes, "You stink," and I went, "I stink. You fuck for a living. Whose parents do you think are more disappointed?" And just the look of horror on her face.
You smell like cum.
Yeah. And
I don't brush my teeth with cock.
Yeah.
Or maybe, I don't know what you do.
I think something I said to her, I said, you're quite attractive. I did that like old line where I said, oh, I'd eat your shit. You know, like I think even like
Do you remember who she was?
Brian off Jolie, something Jolie. I think Brian off the Family.
Angelina Jolie.
Yeah, it was Angelina Jolie.
When she did,
So I think even Brian off the Family Guy said that line. I said, I would eat your shit. And she goes, oh, that sounds nice. And I went, it wouldn't be. I'm going to cut it out with a knife. Right? I was just nasty. I was horrible.
But no matter how horrible you were, she's going to leave and go pull a fucking train. Like, you're still the superior.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, none of what you said really bothered me, or I went, ooh.
Exactly. So this is why I've been sidetracked. So Andrew Maxwell, who is one of the funniest guys ever, and I've worked with him for years, and like one of these famous guys in Ireland and Europe, really famous guys.
Sure.
So Andrew Maxwell and me I can't remember. This is the best heckle I've ever heard. There's a comic called Miles Crawford, who's one of these guys who just doesn't really have any material and just works the clubs as a sort of just a warm-up guy. He doesn't really do jokes. He just sort of goes, who's up for fun? Hey, can I have a cheer from this side of the room?
Yeah.
Now, this guy's black, right?
Give yourselves a round of applause.
He's the whitest black guy on the planet.
How about a round of applause for all the men and women in our armed services?
Yeah. A lot of that stuff.
Fucking 10 minutes of applause.
He sort of wears like a colourful suit with
course.
and he
said he was black.
He's black, but he's like just white.
Yeah.
He's just a white guy. He's nothing, right?
You won't get the reference, but the listeners will. He's Tony Gwynn.
Right, okay. So anyway, he's obviously, as always, he's saying nothing on stage. He's walking around. and so there's this fucking, he's just finding things to do. There's a cake box. Someone's having a birthday in the front row, right? And and I think it was Andrew Maxwell. I don't want to get Andrew in the shit if he didn't say it, but I think it was Andrew Maxwell. But he picks up the cake box and he goes, what's in the box? What's in the box? Ooh, I wonder what's in the box. And then Andrew yells out, your white soul. And it was just so surreal.
Wow. What that guy? When you're telling me what he said, I'm going. I would really like to go see this guy.
Yeah. Funny.
He's going to be opening for you at the Ontario Improv June 3rd.
Maxwell won't. No, but
Who does
he'll
open for
definitely
you?
be at the Edinburgh Festival. If you want to go see a big act at the Edinburgh Festival, see Andrew.
Who does open for you when you do? Do you pick?
I take a few people. I got a couple. I got Jacob Suroff. I like Kevin Shea. I take a guy called Forrest Shaw when I'm over the other side. Colin Kane.
But you, yeah. So you have the same guys. It's a familiarity. Do you do a 3-man show or a 2-man show?
I normally do a 2-man.
Me
But
too.
I have a sort of pool of guys that I like in different parts of the country.
Like now, I've been like swinging from the nuts of Ryan. I don't know if you know Ryan Sickler. Like
No.
I don't like that's the guy. Like let's just do 20 shows, 2-man show. You do 20, then I come up. Like the MC, the whole concept of the MC.
The MC is useless.
The guy you like the least goes on stage the most.
Yeah.
He goes out in between every time.
What you need is a guy who's good, capable in all situations.
Yeah.
Right? But more importantly, a guy you can hang out with afterwards.
Exactly.
Who's not a fucking cock.
Yeah.
And that's
I need
the
a
big
guy
kicker.
to tell me, you know what you said that I liked? And I'm like, what? Because I don't remember what I said.
Yeah.
And then I like a guy that I can say, I got to tell you, I think if you could just mold this a little this way, you're going to get a whole different... and then a guy to try it.
All right,
My opening acts in 15 years have been Ralphie May, Bert Kreischer, Tom Segura, Nick Swartzen.
Yeah.
Like, that's a fucking... Like I'm kind of like a college coach. Like, those are my guys.
Yeah, I think the guys I work with, I think most of them are going to go on to be pretty successful blokes.
You were in court. They brought out the machete for you to look at. And then,
Yes.
we'll wrap this up.
They brought the machete to
talking
look at.
shit with Jim Jefferies and Eddie and the other guy.
So they brought out the machete. Was in a big plastic forensics tube,
yeah.
and they went, "Is that the machete?" I said, "That's the machete." And then they handed it around the jury.
But you're allowed to say that's the machete. You're not allowed to say that's the guy.
Yeah. Okay. So they handed it around to the jury, and the jury's looking at it like, "Oh, it's a big machete," and it goes up. It goes up to the judge, and the
Black
judge,
guy machetes are always bigger than white guy machetes.
goes up to the judge, and the judge puts it down next to him, and they give me the hammer now.
Is the judge wearing a wig?
Yeah.
The whole fucking place
I
is
was
wig.
wearing a wig. Everyone had a wig.
You were wearing a Rod Stewart wig.
Yeah, may I say this? I'm putting a campaign out there. My girlfriend's favorite show is RuPaul Drag Race, and I wanted to be proud of me, and I'd like to be a judge on RuPaul's Drag Race.
That'd be the best.
They've had less celebrities than me. I'm not homophobic. I would really enjoy it. So if you can please Twitter that and hashtag it, and I think we can make this happen.
RuPaul Drag Race, Jim Jefferies. Done.
So anyway,
At Jim Jefferies.
I appreciate the dressmaking. So they hand me the hammer. The hammer's in a big brown forensics bag, and the hammer's in the bottom, and it's kind of dark in there. But I look at it, and that's the hammer. They're not going to give me a phony hammer, like a trick hammer, because it's my guy who's handed it to me.
Oh, okay, good.
So I'm like, that's the hammer. And then they hand the hammer around to the jury, and then it gets up to the judge, and the judge looks in the bag, and he's like, why is this in such a big bag? Why? You can hardly see this hammer at the bottom of the bag. Why? No one can see this hammer. This is ridiculous. You should have used a small forensic bag. And the lawyer's like, oh, no, we didn't really have any small bags. So we had to put it in the thing. And he goes, okay, everyone has to see this again. He turns to his assistant, the bailiff or whatever they call it, right? And he goes, can you go get some scissors or something like that so we can cut the top off this bag? And the bailiff's like, I don't really have it. Where would I get scissors? Like that, right? And I went, you got a big bloody knife there, right? That was like my big Australian thing.
They've used a machete. You're so smart.
And everyone starts laughing. And then I thought, oh no, I'm losing the crowd because I'm meant to be all sensitive and upset. And I went, no, the knife is very... I tell you...
That's amazing.
And then we went at a lunch break, and one of the mothers of the two guys comes up to us and goes, I'm going to have you killed. We're in Burger King. And we're eating Burger King. She goes, you keep talking, I'm going to have you killed. Right? And she walked away. So we went and told the cops. We said, look, man, this woman just said she's going to kill us. We don't want to be threatened, during this court case. And so the cops went and told the judge. The judge held her in contempt of court. Now, I don't know how it works in America, but in Britain, same fucking case. So her son gets sentenced to 12 years, right? And then no fucking around. Then she's crying. It's like, boom, you get on the fucking stand. You're in trouble now, right? And
I think that's the difference between the countries. Is in America, like a year later, she'd be on the stand.
Oh, yeah. Same jury. It's all considered the same case, right? The case hasn't changed. Now we've got another little added bit on, right? And her son's just been sentenced. I'm having a great day. I'm winking at jurors, right?
This is the bonus round.
Yeah. So I get back on
Overtime.
I get back on the stand, and then the lawyer said, "Can you please describe the lady who did this to you?" I said, "Well, she was this height, she had this type of hair."
She's in front of you.
Yeah.
And you can't say it's her.
She had this type of skin, she had this type of thing. And then the lawyer goes, "And what age would you put her at?" And I said, "Well, I know that her son's 24, so I'd have to put her 15 years older than that." Right? Everyone starts laughing. I'm like, "Yeah, good joke, right? Good joke." And the judge goes, "Order! Order!" And I swear to God, this is what he said. He wrote in his little book, and went, 39.
He was your guy.
Yeah, he was my guy.
And how much time did she get?
She got suspended, she had to show up at a prohibition thing. She didn't get sentenced. She had a probation, which she had to show up for a few months and keep her nose clean. She had a restraining order against us.
You should have just fucking headbutted her face right there in the Burger King.
Yeah, but I started to feel sorry for the two lads in the sense that no one really came to see them.
They tied you up.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm not
fucking.
Jay, I'm not made of stone, man. I had quite a good childhood, not the best childhood in the world, but I had a decent childhood. And these guys didn't have anyone fucking show up for even their sentencing. The mother was just a heroin-ridden skank of a woman. And, one of the lads had 4 different kids to 4 different women, which, I'm not condoning that either. I'm just saying that their lives were shit, and they deserve to go to prison. And
they might be out now.
I would do it. They'd probably be out by
probation. With good time.
I don't think. Hey, look, if you knew these guys, I'm not worried that they can download a podcast. I don't think that's in their capabilities, right? So I'm not worried about
Jim, we got a surprise for you. Are they ready? Get them out here.
Tyrone!
And the mom. This is your life. Talking Shit with Jim Jefferies and Eddie Ift is the podcast. And go to jmohr.com and you can get Jim's DVD, Swear to God. And, of course, he's got Alcoholocaust coming out on DVD for those of you in Australia and the UK. Do that. Support friends of the podcast. Support Jim and his endeavors. And those of you that live in the Inland Empire, in the 909 area code, go see this prick in Ontario, June 3rd. He's hilarious. You'll love him. He's just one of the best storytellers you'll ever meet. Also, June 8th, he's in San Jose. June 15th, Brea. A big California run for Jim Jefferies. This has been Mohr Stories. Thank you, Jim, for coming by.
No worries, man.
Put your name on it.